see like a fire pit.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
Oh my goodness.
They are howling on the Zoom meeting. This is definitely.
Tubby, get off. Oh, can you get Tubby off? Oh, wait, yeah.
For me.
Hey, Chris. Hi, everybody. We're still howling.
Hi.
That was the best howl ever.
Yes. So are we like an open house or something?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everybody. Mario, good evening.
Are we doing an open house?
Good.
What do you mean that?
So
We are going to have open houses later.
I want to make sure
Good.
your mic is not muted. Please make sure that you're on mute. Just double check that. And
You want to be muted.
yes,
Is
definitely
this
want to
muted?
be muted.
Mr. ID, can I interrupt real quick?
Sure.
It turns out we have maxed out the number of people who can join this meeting.
Okay.
So if you hear of anyone who is having problems, I'm going to try to find a solution, maybe open another meeting, and I'll put the link on the school website. So send them to the school website in about 5 minutes.
Great. And my wife meeting as well, so that we can make sure to post it on our website as well for anybody who's unable to join. Also, if you do connect with people who are unable to make it in, please make sure to let them know that they can always reach out to us to ask questions and be in contact. There are lots of people here who are anxious to help and answer questions to the extent that we can. So a few just housekeeping notes before we jump into conversation. Again, please make sure that your microphone is on mute so we don't hear anything in the background that you might not want to have shared with lots and lots of people. So just double check that now. If you do have a question, there should be a button in the bottom of your screen that says reactions. And if you click that button, and can I just actually have a quick thumbs up if you do see that button on the bottom of your screen?
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Ms. Maynard. Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Great. Okay. So on the bottom of your screen, there's a button that says reactions. And if you can find that, there are a lot of options for you there to raise your hand or offer some type of emoji. So if everybody could just click the little heart emoji right now, so I know that you found it. I'm doing it on mine. Good. I see lots of hearts out there. We need lots and lots of hearts right now. Lots and lots of hearts. Good. I see some thumbs up too. Lots and lots of hearts. Great. So again, if you just joined us, it does look like Valentine's Day. Hi, Ms. Victor. So yeah, make sure if you do have a question or you do have a comment, to use this function in the bottom to raise your hand. You'll see a little button that says raise hand, and we'll do our best to look through and make sure that we're acknowledging everybody. So that's one. Two, feel free to use the chat box. If you can see on the bottom, there's two buttons over from reactions that says chat. you can offer a question or a comment in the chat box, and that might be easier for you if you're, you have noise behind you or for whatever reason. So please use the chat box or do raise your hand. I also want to make sure that we are creating a respectful environment right now. I want to acknowledge that this is the pandemic is a very emotional thing for a lot of people. A lot of our families here in this community have experienced loss because of this pandemic. And a lot of people really wanted to make sure that we can come back to school and do it in the right way for our kids. And we're kind of all across the spectrum. I've heard from so many family members and so many teachers and so many students that yes, this time is incredibly challenging and it's incredibly important that we take care of one another, but we do what's best for our kids. So do keep an open mind that there might be people with a variety of different perspectives. And our goal here tonight is just to hear those perspectives and answer any questions that people might have that are lingering. So please, let's make sure and do that in as respectful an environment as we possibly can. I'll also just offer a couple of top notes here on what's happened so far and how we're kind of thinking about this, so that this might answer some of your questions. Before I do that quickly, I just want to shout out all of our students who are here with us tonight in this room, and all of the parents too. Just thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and big shout out to our students. Hope you got your homework done before you came here tonight, and if not, hope you have some time to finish that up. And then if you did, read a book. All right, so and also I want to acknowledge our governance council members who are here tonight as well. So thank you so much. Si tiene preguntas o comentario en español y no entiende, es mejor hablar en español, por favor, dame un mensaje en privado in el chat box. And I'm just saying right now, if somebody prefers Spanish, to private message me in the chat box so that I know. If nobody here prefers Spanish, then I won't bother you with my terrible Spanish. So, por favor, si es necesario hablar en español, poner un mensaje privado en el chat box as soon as possible. Great. So again, I'll just reiterate a couple of things. One, the governor has said that we can come back to school on February the 8th in a hybrid model, no matter the status of the county, be it in red or in yellow or in green. And that we do so in a hybrid model that is set in a building that has been deemed safe by the public education department and by the fire marshal. They've advised us that this process can take approximately 2 weeks. So from the time that we would declare if we want to come back in person to the time in which we would be allowed to open, it would be approximately 2 weeks, which is interesting given that if you go from February 8th back 2 weeks, we would have had to have submitted our intention to come back before the governor made her announcement. So I think they're trying to accommodate people on a very, very tight timeline if they need to. But for us, we want to be as deliberate as possible and as inclusive as possible. So we engaged with our teachers yesterday and in all staff. We conducted a poll with the exact same question that you saw tonight. And we engaged our leadership committee, which is comprised of teachers and educational assistants from across the school who had spoken with the teachers and educational assistants on their teams and brought those perspectives to bear. So I think we have a pretty clear understanding of where our faculty and staff are in this moment. But again, we want to hear from you. So I hope I haven't spoken too long, but I'll just open it up for either questions or comments. And I'm not seeing any messages in the chat box about requesting Spanish. So una vez más, si quiere hablar en español, ponga un mensaje privado en el chat box y voy a hablar en español, o si no es necesario, voy a hablar solamente en inglés. Great. So I will start off with a couple of questions that I see in the chat box. And I also want to thank Danielle. Thank you so much for addressing some of these questions as well. Danielle knows all of the answers. We talk 5 times a day, way too much. So we've mind melded completely. So I'll start off with Erica's question or no, sorry, I'll start with Buffy's question, which I think has not been addressed yet. So the online teaching has been very successful for my kids. I'm hesitant to return to in-person regular classes because of that and community health concerns. I sincerely hope that the online format can continue. Thanks, Buffy, for that. Erica, good afternoon. I understand that we need to get back to normal. We have 3 to 4 more months of school left from this year. Let's use those months to plan and start next year with precautions, vaccines, and safety for the facility and for the facility or faculty and students to start in-person learning. Thank you, Erica, for that. Serena, I keep hearing that doubling up on masks are now being recommended. Is this something that children would need to do? We have instituted internally a policy here whereby everybody in the building must wear a KN95 mask. And we have those here. We continually order those here. And those are sort of surgical grade, high grade masks that, and I have one right here. And so we've also not only asked that people wear KN95 masks, but that we also are wearing another mask on top of that. So that's what we do here internally. The masks that we're being told will be required are KN95 or N95 masks as well. So I hope that answers the question. Let's see, and I think Danielle is handling some of the questions in the chat box. So I'll pause to see if anybody, I'm scrolling through here to see if anybody has their hand raised for questions. And I'll just remind everybody at the bottom under reactions, you can select raise hand and it will look like this, like what you're seeing in my streams if you have a question. And Jessica, I see you. I can't tell if you're raising your hand or just clapping.
I know, I tell my students the same thing. Is it this or what are you doing? So my concern is this, our family, we've been doing okay with online school. Of course, we prefer in person, but we want it to be safe, of course. We're low risk, so I would be for going back to school, but I know that other people don't feel that way and, you know, are higher risk, and I appreciate that and respect that. Our issue is, so I'm fine either way. So I'm fine staying online or all in person, I'm fine either way. My issue is if we went to hybrid, and our issue as our family is we have 3 children at 3 different schools. And I sincerely doubt that all 3 different schools would have the same hybrid schedule. And then lining it up, and if I'm a teacher, then I'm at my school 100% of the time. So my husband would essentially have to quit his job to stay home and watch the kids when they're not in the in-person learning. So that's my worry, is I can do all online, I can keep going, that's fine. I can do all in person, that's fine too. My worry is actually the hybrid, that I don't think I can make that work and have me still be a teacher and my husband still have a job and my kids getting logistically where they need to go. And so that's my concern. I don't know if there's a question, that's just my concern.
That's a great concern. And I'll just add that if we do come back in a hybrid model, it will be optional for families. We won't mandate that every student comes back. We want to do our best, as we did in the beginning of the year, to make sure that families who might want to stay home, but they also want to remain part of the Turquoise Trail community, have the option of doing so. And we would work directly with our teachers and our grade levels to do that, to make sure that we have designed a schedule and classes that are able to accommodate that to the extent that we possibly can. Thanks, Jessica. Mark, I see you. It's good to see you again. And I see, Greg, it looks like Greg's, you have your hand raised. Greg's, are you there? Okay, I see, let's see, a question from Esteban. Hey, good to see you. So the question is, if in-person doesn't return, can we explore the possibility of in-person recreation outside, like a schedule developed so the kids can play together? We have been thinking about that now for several months and engaging teachers in thinking about that. And there are a couple of different ways we can approach that. One is just by building tents outside that might accommodate whatever order is in place at that time for the allowability of people in groups. so that we would just have classes, but outdoor. If you guys know, you've been here to the school, you know that in the springtime, the winds come through fast enough that they might just pick up one of those tents and they'll end up in like Pecos. But we are trying to think of other options for that to keep our kids safe and able to learn and not totally distracted. So that's one. It's just sort of an outdoor classroom, moving classroom to the outdoor space. We're also considering doing a little bit more of the work like Harry Phillips has been doing with Wild Friends, which is exploring outdoor spaces and doing more expeditionary style learning, where we might be able to integrate sort of a naturalist approach or bring kids on project-based assignments outside of the walls of the school. We think that the building itself is, in this case, a limiting factor. So if we can eliminate that limiting factor, then we might be able to get a little farther. We know also that the public education department is convening people on this, and we're participating in that as well, in hopes that we might be able to partner with other schools to do resource sharing if that becomes available. So thank you for that question. All right, I'm looking for other hands. Greg's, are you there? I see your hand is still up, and mine is still up too. I haven't taken mine down, so maybe you decided otherwise. But
Mr.
He put it in the chat.
Oh, we don't have audio. Sorry, there, I got it. Could you talk a bit about how the governor is justifying the hybrid model? That's a really good question. I'll make a couple of comments on that, because we talked with the secretary today about a number of things, including the status of the vaccine rollout, which is a critical component for a lot of us here, but also how they're considering hybrid. I'll introduce the answer to this also by way of saying that NMAA, or our sports, are not allowed to proceed unless we are first in a hybrid model. So when we asked NMAA today what hybrid actually means, is it 5 students at our school in a small group? Is that sufficient for what it means to be a hybrid school? And I see Tammy on here. Tammy's actually the one who asked these questions. Is that sufficient? Or does it have to be students who are directly going to be participating in the sports? Do they have to be present at school? There are no clear answers from the state on those things, which means that, Greg's, in answer to your question, there's no prescriptive definition from the state of what hybrid actually needs to look like. The guidance that we've been given is that we may not have more than 50% of our school's roster in school on any given day, which is also in and of itself a complication if you think about it. So we have approximately 700 students at Turquoise Trail, meaning on any given day, we'd be allowed to have 350 students here. That could mean that we have 18 kids in a kindergarten class, perhaps, right? So in which we would not do, obviously, because we would need to maintain social distancing, et cetera. But there's a lot of gray area with regard to what the state has passed down to us like that. And so they're getting all these questions. A question that came up today was like, locker rooms are closed off. But if we have kids who are playing sports, are they supposed to cram into a bathroom stall to change, or like, how's that supposed to work? So there are all of these tiny intricacies right now that that we're not able to get answers to. I'm not sure. Greg, does that answer your question? Another possible answer to that question is, how are they justifying a hybrid model versus like a full school model? And I think we're just still trying to resort to what we had already planned on before, and what adheres as closely as possible to what we understand from the CDC to be safe practice, i.e. everybody wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart at least, and and not getting into close contact. All right, Mark. We need to talk offline too. I'm curious about how you guys are doing this, but
yeah, I was going to tell a little bit about it. And so if you want me to say a little bit about what we're thinking about doing?
Sure. All
right. So it's, we're looking right now at bringing back we're going to give the seniors, well, we got to get the teachers first, right? So our meeting's tomorrow morning for teachers, but
Wait,
I'm what's that?
Tell everybody where you're at first. So
so I'm one of the assistant principals at Santa Fe High School. And so we're, we're looking at possibly if we can get enough teachers, which we think we're going to, of doing like almost like a lottery system, but we'd have our seniors, we'd bring back our special needs students and students without internet services. And so but we're at the same thing. We got to see how many work, and we're going to continue learning the same way it's like a remote learning in pods in the sense. So it's not going to be so much live instruction, but if they can't, they will have some of the opportunities to go to, if the teacher's on campus, to go to their class.
Wait, Mark, you went on mute.
I muted myself.
There you go.
But I guess we can get more to that, Chris, offline, but I guess what my question for you guys also is that since we're in the high school are looking at doing that, a lot of the students may depend on, our families may depend on their older siblings to babysit or to watch them and stuff like that for childcare. And so, that's something that's going to be hard on some of these families too, because especially if they have a senior, like I have a senior, and she's dying to get back into school. She cannot wait to get back to school. I have a freshman that I'm going to have to take with me, but but that's kind of what we're going to run into some issues, I think, as well, is like for those families, and so it's like going to put those students in a pickle, because what are they going to do? They get to stay home for the rest of their senior year, or they get to stay home and babysit. So that's kind of like where, not that, I know schools get used as babysitter, as childcare, stuff like that, but that's just something that I'm kind of like thinking of what we're going to do. Cause my wife and I both work for the schools as well. And so like, we'll have to figure that way around this, but that's just something that's going to be, that I'm just concerned about. It's not really a question, just more of concern.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you. Danielle, I know you've been answering some questions in the chat box. Do you kind of want to bring us up to speed on anything we might have missed or answer any lingering questions?
I just have one question. We had one remark in here from Sharps about the CDC releasing a report that there's little evidence that schools have contributed to community spread. We probably can say that we have evidence that this is probably true. This whole time we have been running a childcare program with kids in there from 5 years old all the way to, I think we have some 13-year-olds in there right now. So multiple ages. It's really difficult. We have to overstaff, but we have been very fortunate that our families have worked together, and we've had kids that have had COVID, but not brought it into our program because of the intense screening processes that we put in place. We've had no community spread within our program that has been running since August. This is a really great feat, knock on wood. We've been extremely lucky because we know that anytime that can change. Our staff has been very lucky. All of the incidences of COVID that we've had have been very isolated. It does take a lot of work. It is extremely stressful, but we put into place all these markers. So any plan that we would have moving forward it's going to take a long time for us to put it together. We have a nursing staff that is putting together all that nursing safety for us. We have operational plans and our cleaning with our custodial. I'm sure Mark can tell you that this isn't something that happens overnight. It's definitely a team effort, and it includes this community here. All of this is basically held together with a very delicate social contract. If everybody here isn't honest and caring about what happens to everybody else, everything could fall apart. I will say that it is possible, and if we have enough support, it's something we could do.
Can I say one other thing, just kind of going off of that, is, being at the high school, and I'm sure, I've heard a lot of the stuff that you've sent out, Mr. Eide, and is that, the sanitation and the cleaning and all that stuff, it's amazing to watch. They're so on it. We've had some tests at our school, like some SATs and PSATs, and the custodial staff, whoever is going through, are really doing an amazing job, to keep our schools clean and to prevent it. It's that we won't have if we were this clean, we wouldn't have flu outbreaks, in the past. It's amazing how you walk by a handle, all sudden right behind you is wiped down, so your door handles are wiped down, your rails in your hallways are wiped down. It's just so when I saw that, I was like so happy to see. It's like, wow, this is gonna be something new, and it's a lot of work, like you said, a ton of work, but everybody's stepping up to the plate to do their part to keep us safe.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I know we've invested an incredible amount of money and time into air filtration systems, into Oxyvir, into static cleaners, right, for all of these rooms. And those investments are going to pay off. I hope we never actually have another influenza case here, to your point, Mark, going forward. I mean, it's really, we've set our model at the level of hospital here. That's where we want to be, that level of cleanliness and sanitization. So it's been amazing. So how are the kids going to eat lunch? I'm just looking in no particular order. Actually, and Vitalia, I see yours as well. How are the kids going to eat lunch? If they come back, we would have the same plan in place that we had before, where we keep the students in pods and we keep people in pods to the extent that we possibly can. So for example, we had, when we had our kindergarten back, they're in the A wing, and our school is designed really beautifully for this type of thing. So in the A wing, we're able to close the door so that the lobby and the rest of the school was closed off. And there was access to the library as well through a separate door, through a little passageway there. And in so doing, we would also bring the lunches to that wing so the kids are not moving around or putting one another in danger of cross-contamination, such that if there were, God forbid, a case in that wing, and if we were operating, as a whole school, we would have each of the wings, but if there was one in that wing, we could shut down that classroom and isolate it, shut down that wing, isolate it, and manage it that way. So, and to answer the question, we would bring the meals to the students and they would eat those in class so that we can keep everybody tight. And then Vitalia, if the kids go back, will they have to have a COVID test? Would there be any type of social contract they'd have to abide by? It's a really good question. First of all, any adults who are here have to engage in surveillance testing. And if we are back in a hybrid model, according to the current conditions, if our county is in red, then 25% of our staff need to engage in testing on a given week, which means that if you're an adult who's in the building once a month, so once every 4 weeks, you would be tested randomly. As for the students, we've had no guidance on whether they should be COVID tested or not coming back. What we would do is when every student comes to school, same thing as before, if you arrive in a car, we'll do a temperature test and we'll ask the adults to fill out a questionnaire about the level of COVID exposure or headaches, those types of things that the student may or may not be experiencing. So that would be our safeguard. With regard to a social contract, we would ask before returning that all members of the school community whose children are coming to school here or who work here, will be working here, have a meeting where we just acknowledge the importance of keeping one another safe. We've asked everybody who send their kids here in childcare to treat us as if we're family, meaning if someone in their family suspects that they might be sick, that they notify us as well so that we can do our very best to draw a tight line around all of the kids and adults who are here in the building too. So that's been a question that's been something we've asked and we would continue to ask of everybody that comes up here. Let's see, will there be bus services? Yes, there will be bus services. And we do run buses right now for kids in childcare every morning and afternoon. So we would just expand that bus service as needed, depending on the students who are coming back. So it's a complex operational challenge, but Danielle Garcia, beautiful mind, would solve that together with her team with Tammy. All right. What else are we missing? Danielle, what are we missing in the chat box?
Well, they brought it up on top of the social contract. We do a daily contract. We take the temperatures of each kid and we ask each parent to fill out the survey, that the governor and the Department of Health have put together about how they feel. And our families have been really honest. If you have a headache, go ahead and mark down that you have a headache. What people need to understand is that's not immediately a marker, but that helps us get to the point we need to know about where everybody's health is. When we take those answers, our nurse reviews them. We have a really great nursing team that follows up on suspicion. And I'm going to really iterate that, suspicion of anything. So if we see somebody sniffle or we hear that somebody sniffled, Nurse Jenny's calling your house for the next 2 weeks and like, are you okay? How are your family members? Are you eating okay? We have such a great team that is really following through and is prioritizing the health of the students. And what I want to say is not only those that were in person, She has followed up with every single kid that we've had any awareness of. If a teacher sees them sneeze on camera, this kid's sneezing, I know they're not in person. We're following up with those families because at any point we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable enough to have this opportunity to be able to come in person. So we want you to know that we've created a really great support network for everybody to be here, whether it's the custodians or it's Nurse Jenny. And those contracts help us bring every day that survey, these services together so we can help better serve families.
Thanks, Danielle. I see a question from Stephanie. If we went forward with reopening in February, would class rosters and teacher assignments completely change to accommodate the new model? Right now, we know that if we did come back, we would have to be really flexible. That there are, for example, if there was a grade level where there were 4 teachers and say 2 were either unable or couldn't come back up to school for whatever reason, and 2 were willing and able to come up to school, that we would have to figure out how we do that. And that might mean moving some students from one class to the next. It might mean working in small groups. So we'd have to keep our options open right now, and that would be something that we would have to consider. With regard to a start date, a potential start date, I will say, and maybe this is also an answer to your question, Jessica, too, about where the faculty and staff were. The 2 main concerns that came from the faculty and staff were vaccinations and time. We just need we need time to make sure that our school can adapt to the plans that we will work with our teachers to develop. We need time to make sure that teachers can come back and get classrooms ready. We need time to make sure we're communicating with families adequately so everybody knows where they need to be and what all the expectations are. So the first part, and this is something that, depending on how we move forward, we might need your support with, which is around the vaccines, because we continue to get mixed messages on this from the government. And even today, we were told that there's no more conclusive information that they could give us with regard to where teachers and members of the school staff, not nurses have already received vaccinations, but other members of the school staff stand. We know that there are a lot of 75-year-old and older members of our population, 60-year-old members and older members of our population who are in line and ahead of us. And they have said that one of the biggest limiting factors is the supply of vaccines. And so that said, if I could just be very, very candid, we know that this process has not been linear. For example, there's a school in Santa Fe where the whole staff got vaccinated and they're kind of back to school right now. And we don't know fully how that happened or whether we could have done something like that either. So it's all really confusing to us and we haven't gotten those messages. If we as a school community could say to the governor or the government that ensure that we get our vaccinations and we know when we're going to get them, then we can come back to school. I think that's something we could all unify around in a really powerful way that would allow us to get back to school sooner. That's just a thought based on our conversation from yesterday. Let's see. Yeah, Jessica, after spring break, I think that's about the timing that we would need in order to actually make sure that we got the fire marshal here, that we figured out who all could be up here if we did decide to move in that direction. And then the question becomes, given that it can be a disruptive force, bringing everybody back, potentially disruptive for families, potentially disruptive for kids and for teachers, is it worth it at that point? Or do we still benefit from the continuity and the rhythm of online learning right now? And that's an open question. We know that our kids, by and large, are either they're on one end of the spectrum or another right now. They're either growing a lot and achieving a lot, or on the other side of the spectrum where they're not growing a lot, not achieving a lot. And that oftentimes has a lot to do with external forces, what it means to be home and in school, on online school right now, maybe to have intermittent access to the internet, things like that are challenging for a lot of our families. And that's something we think deeply about as well. So the challenge is real. Let's see. Greg, thank you for that. Greg, who do we call to advocate? One of the possibilities for us here is to put together a petition. And I know we would have a lot of support, and Mark, maybe this would be something that you guys at your school community would support too, where we just say, give us our vaccines, tell us when it's going to be and make sure we get our vaccines. And then we'll come back to school. We want to come back. We just want to be safe. I think that's something that could get a lot of traction and might bring parents, families, and our teachers together.
Our superintendent's really pushing for it as well. She's actually trying to get the used through the our nurses. We have like pharmacy license at the schools, and so that we can use it that way too. So once we get it, I'm sure they're going to open up for many teachers as we can. So they're really advocating to push that pretty hard.
I'm seeing some activity in the chat. We might have a petition going here. I'm seeing some people in the chat box saying that that they would sign it too. And I don't know if it's within their control, but I think it's a really compelling case. If they're asking us to come back and we want to come back, but this is the one thing, then it's pretty straightforward. Thanks, Nasiba. And then Greg's, how did the other school get the vaccine? Great question. I mean, maybe that's I would call up Dylan Mullen from the Santa Fe New Mexican, maybe James Barron, our education reporters. Ask them to do a little digging, maybe do an expose, try to get a Pulitzer out of it. I don't know. We'd love to know the answer to that too.
I know some of them went through and they would wait in line at the end of certain clinics that was going on. And instead of throwing it the way, they were vaccinating them until this Monday. Now that since this Monday, DOH sent out a memo not allowing that to happen any longer. But teachers and people were going to after they'd wait till like it was over 3:30, whatever it was, and they'd wait in line. And then if they had any leftovers, so they didn't have to throw it away, they were able to get their vaccines. Is how a lot of these people were doing it.
That's clever. Lorelei, I see you have your hand up.
Hi, thank you. So I'm just curious, based off of what the decision ends up, obviously this may not be relevant, but in the event that there is a decision made by the community to return to in-person education, has the administration considered how they would address instances where students would just not return, where parents would refuse to send their kids back until there was a level of safety that was considered appropriate for that specific family? And if so, kind of how you would see that playing out at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Lorelei, if I'm understanding your question correctly, the answer would be that we would do our very best to make sure that students who were staying at home still had access to online learning here. And so our hybrid model would account for students in person, but then also at home. And that might mean, toggling between, having students on a screen and in person, which we've heard from teachers is really, really challenging to continue to pull off. Or it might mean there's a dedicated teacher for students who are online. But I'm not sure that addresses the spirit of your question. Am I answering the right question?
That's a partial answer, so I guess that's part of the question. I'm thinking less of a hybrid model and more of a full model for return to school. If there's a situation, for example, where all the teachers get vaccinated and there is a decision made to just bring everybody back to physical education, if there is a sort of emergency plan, I think, for maybe people who have particularly high risk members who haven't been able to get vaccinated, or some sort of other family scenario that might not facilitate a return for those particular students. I don't know if that's something that could be addressed through like an IEP type of situation, or if there would be other sort of accommodations that the school would be willing to take just for the remainder of this school year.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I don't have a direct answer for that right now. But what I can say is that with regard to our school and our planning going forward, we don't expect that, and sorry, that's not the right way to say that. Next year, we understand that there is a non-zero likelihood that we are still in a hybrid-like situation, or that if we are fully sort of vaccinated, et cetera, and able to come back as a full school community, that there would be students who either need to be or prefer to be, or who actually just do better online. And so we're thinking about right now how we might sort of create a school within a school, so to speak, whereby we have students who can participate in that way, and teachers who might be dedicated to online teaching. But that's not something we fully developed yet, but that we are thinking about. So I think that's as close as I can get to answering that.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Of course. Really good question. All right, Tony and Brandy, devil's advocate after, oh yes, sorry, I'll leave, okay, Tony and Brandy's in the chat box, and then I see Nasibo, did I see your hand raised? I love your background, by the way. It looks like heaven, wherever you are.
Thank you. Kind of feels like, yeah. Just real quick, we posted in the chat, and Danielle kind of touched on that, but just to clarify, would you break them like kindergarten and first grade? Because I'm worried about my first grader more than I'm worried about my third grader, because, and I'm willing to take like one child in and maybe leave one behind if that's helpful, because I hear, you know, there are different ways. I just think the first grader needs some kind of school, some kind of, and it's not daycare. We talked about it. He's like, that's not school, but I really feel like he needs something. So would you prioritize the kindergarten and first grade will come in first, and then second and third, maybe next phase? Because I think like you did it in the fall, I think that would be really helpful for younger kids. I mean, for my first grader who's like losing it and he really needs to be at school. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. This situation, I think, is a little bit different in nature than how we approached the beginning of the year. We suspected in the beginning of the year that our youngest students were going to disproportionately be worse off for being at home, given their attention spans with, you know, on the screen, and their real need to socialize and learn through socialization. I see Ms. Maynor on here too, I just want to shout you out, Ms. Maynor, one of our just outstanding kindergarten teachers who did go through this with us in the beginning of the year, where we worked with Ms. Maynor, with Mrs. Martinez, who I saw in here as well, Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Dannenberg, to develop a plan that would suit what they believed was going to be the best model for their kids. And I will say the kindergartners, you know, they've been in school, they've been out of school, they've been on a real ride this year. They met with the senator. Like it's been a year for the kindergarten, and their scores are going up. They're learning to read. They're doing really well with the teachers in an online environment, which is really impressive. And so that said, we also know that we have extraordinary teachers, and that we might not be able to say that that's just a general trend, that, you know, kids can learn online. We know that. So that's one piece. The second piece is that our teachers now are in all kinds of different places, and they have been all throughout the year, right? Like with regard to how they feel about coming up to school. Part of this is, you know, the governor told us for so long to be safe, stay inside, don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere. And now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, come back, everybody. And we're like, wait, what are you talking about? And so I think a lot of people are just generally very confused about what we're supposed to be doing. And so we want to just be very sensitive to where everybody's comfort level is at this point. And so I can't offer you a solid entry plan that says we're going to start with pre-KK, go first, second, third. It might be different than that. It might be we can bring back fourth grade and we can bring back eighth grade, or we can't bring back anybody, or we can bring back everybody. It's not going to be as linear, I suspect, this time, knowing where everybody's at. And I wish I could give you something, you know, a bit more linear and solid than that. All right. Thank you, John, for that. Yeah.
Just wanted to add one more comment. There was comments about this is a lot of work for maybe just a few weeks of having the kids in school. That is true. And that is something that we are definitely thinking of. But I do want to remind everybody that Turquoise Trail applied for extended school year, and we are going to be having that from K to 8 this year. Oh, Jessica, come on. It's brought some good programs here, so it's very good. I just wanted to remind everybody that we are going to be in school well into June.
And we know that we have a lot, our kids are going to need a lot of time on task. They're going to need a lot when we're able to come back. We're looking at summer school options. We're trying to play everything that we possibly can right now too. And so, yeah. Let's see. Thanks everybody for all the positive support as well. In the chat box, I'm seeing a lot of great things. Let's see.
Chris, before we move on, I did have a private message. So David, I would really like you to speak to everybody. We have had a lot of families who have been in need during this time, and we've had such great support from our community. I will have you know that our new food vendor, Kids Kitchen, is helping us provide food boxes to those families that are hungry. They don't have to stand in line. They can just pick it up directly from the school. We've had so many community partners, and David has some more community information that is going to be really critical for some of our families. Do you want to go ahead, David?
Sure, thanks. I'm coming across as my wife, Stephanie, but I'm on the Santa Fe Food Policy Council, and I work a lot with emergency feeding programs, and I've been in communication with the Santa Fe Connect program, which is both in the county and in the city. So if anybody needs assistance for food, rent, utilities, mental health, social determinants of any nature at all, they're just a remarkable network of folks who really work to connect people who need anything at all with the programs that are available in the city and the county, and both are doing just amazing jobs. So I encourage anybody, no matter how big or small, or if it's you or it's your neighbor or somebody in church that you know could use some help, please reach out. There's just some remarkable resources in the community that are available. So it's just a great way to take care of our community.
Thanks so much, David. Really appreciate you.
Good job.
All right. Anything else? Mike, how are you tonight? Oh, wait, I think you're still on mute. I'm gonna see if I can, no, I can't take off.
Good evening, Mr. ID and Turquoise Trail community. I just really wanted to voice my concern, you know, this, as you just stated, this really feels rushed from the governor, where we've had the entire state shut down for close to a year. And, you know, with this current, the prevalent COVID-19 virus that we've been dealing with, we've learned a lot about it, and we do know a lot about it. And now suddenly, you know, we have these variants that are coming out that, you know, we don't really know anything about. They're really dangerous, they're really contagious, they're not really contagious, they might hurt you really badly, they might not. We just don't know. And then, and you know, as you said, you guys, the teachers, aren't getting vaccines. And I'm in EMS and I've had my vaccine. And I've seen a lot of people with COVID. And just because kids might not have the horrible effects that older, more sensitive populations do, it doesn't mean that they can't bring it home. And it doesn't mean that it can't start a new community spread. You know, I know Turquoise Trail has done phenomenal work with kindergartners and those after school programs. But those are also a lot smaller, more focused settings than if you're bringing kids back. You know, it's going to be trying to constantly maintain a social distancing, is you're not going to keep the kids apart at all times. And I just really have a grave concern. And I can tell you, my daughter definitely needs to be back in school. Online learning is not the best environment for her, but her health at this point at her age is more of a concern to me than what she might be losing versus what she might contract or bring home to the rest of the family over the next 2 or 3 months of school.
Thank you, Mike. And thanks for all your work in the community too, man. It's a rough time for all of us, and I know you're facing tons of trade-offs in the same way. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. I'm looking for, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling through and just looking for anybody who might have their hand raised. Anything we might have missed. Is there anything in the chat box, Danielle, that we should surface, lift up?
So Mr. Ida, yeah, there's a comment about the consensus with staff at TTCS about hybrid learning as well. Johnny?
Let's see. Oh, what is it? Sorry, yeah, what is the consensus with staff about hybrid learning? The consensus is that we need the vaccines and that we need time. And with regard to the model of hybrid learning, there are a number of different options that we've discussed. You know, we can bring kids back in 5 to 1. Right now, we could do that. We can think about what hybrid truly does mean, you know, and take advantage of the sort of gray area there. So there is no sort of consensus on what model we would want to adopt. And in fact, we just haven't moved past the point where, you know, safety and the vaccines and time are the presenting concerns. We haven't been able to move past that fully yet. So. Yeah. Let's see, Christy, is there any way that those who want to come back can and those who don't can stay home? Yeah, that would be the scenario if we were able to come back fully and do it safely. You know, with folks here in the building, we would make it an option for kids to come back who wanted to come back and were able to, and an option for those who were not able to or didn't feel comfortable doing so to stay home and continue to engage in online learning. Yeah, Amber, yeah. Steph, yeah, Una, congratulations on your award tonight if you're listening. Let's see. I'll just take this opportunity to thank everybody here. You know, this is real. I can't wait for the time when we can all just get together, you know, have a big old gathering of the pack in like a big old meal, and you know, just really celebrate and come out of this together. And I know it's going to happen, hopefully sooner than later. But man, I can't help but think that this time is bringing us closer together in ways that we can't even anticipate right now. And so it just means everything that you all are here with us, that you're all doing everything that you can for our kids and families who, you know, who are a part of this community as well. It's just been an amazing outpouring of support especially over these holiday months too, for families in need and families who are struggling. We've experienced a lot of loss here among families in our community, as all school communities and communities have in New Mexico. But we've really rallied around one another here in really impressive ways. And I know that that's going to be what we feel when we all come back together, no matter how it is. Thanks, Greg. And Zoe, thank you so much. Say hi to Theo for me. Yes.
Excuse me.
I hear one voice. Yeah, Jules and then Jim.
Okay, it's Jules' significant other, Oliver Torres.
Nice to see you.
Same here. I'm a teacher and a coach at Santa Fe Indian School, and I just wanted to give you guys our perspective, the way we're looking at it, because we're like a private school as well and a charter school.
Love that.
And the way we're going about things, and I can't speak for Indian School. I know what I know as a employee there and as a parent there. And the reason why I want to let you know is because I'm sure you want to get data and information from all these schools, because we want to do what's best for our kids. And I have kids at Turquoise Trail. So I'm just going to tell you where we're sort of coming from and where we're at. Our school is run by our leadership of our pueblos and by the federal government. So, and we're also dorm. So we're a whole different animal compared to everybody else. We have people coming from Arizona, Hawaii, all over the place. So it's a whole different animal in regards to schooling and stuff and dealing with this pandemic. But I do know how our leadership feels and how we feel about the situation going on. And the way our leadership is taking it is they're moving very cautiously. And it's better to be safe than sorry. We don't want to feel lucky. We want to be positive because we're dealing with our kids. And we also, our kids come from rural areas where a lot of a lot of in the reservation, everyone's related almost, and everybody's with each other, and that's why the pandemic spreads really bad in the reservations. The way they feel about it is just move slowly, make the right decision, don't rush into it, make the best decision, and not just about the kids, about their families, their elders, their grandmas, their grandpas, their families with illnesses or underlined problems, you know. So I just wanted to let you know where we're coming from and how they're doing it, so that way, because I know you guys have your own board and everything too, and I just want you guys to flourish. We're proud to be Coyotes, and we want the best for the kids. We want you guys to be successful, and we just want let's move very slow and make the best decision. We don't want to move too fast. That's the way I would say, but it's up to you guys. You guys are the ones that are in the trenches and doing what it is you got to do. And I thank you guys all for your hard work, and I wish everyone the best, and I want to get back to normal as fast as anybody else, man.
Well said, Mr. Torres. And we're big admirers of you, of your school as well, and really appreciate that perspective. And you're in the trenches just the same. So big shout out to you, and thank you so much for that perspective. It means a lot. Appreciate it.
Got it.
And thanks everybody for the great comments in the chat box. I want to go to Jim. Did you still have a thought or a comment?
Oh, Mr. Eide, thank you for sponsoring this. I just had a question. If the school was reopened, the earliest date is around spring break. Is that my understanding? Was that correct?
I think just back of napkin, we would need, here we are, January 28th. We're going to convene tomorrow as a leadership team to try to synthesize everything that we've heard. I suspect that we'll need a couple of days next week to continue to put things together and formulate a plan. And then we would need to make an announcement. It would be 2 weeks from then. So it would be, you know, first week of February till the sort of third week of February would be the earliest I could see us sort of putting something together. And then, you know, so it would be the first week of March would be the earliest. But if I'm just being conservative, I think, you know, given the spring break window and the time that we would want to take advantage of during that time to get everything set, that's probably a more realistic time frame if we're able to do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim. It's good to see you. Let's see, what else? Yeah, Jessica, did that answer your question? Yeah, great. Is the gathering of the pack available to be viewed on the website? I think so. Francesca taped it, and I think we'll be able to show it there as well. So anybody who may have missed their award will have a chance to. And I see Amrit. Yeah. Amrit, I don't know if you're on here, but congratulations on your award. You're amazing.
Yes, it will be available, I believe, starting tomorrow morning with the same link that you would have used to get in the first place.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see, Christy. Hi, Christy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here with you guys tonight. Thanks for coming.
Okay. Well, my question's probably a little bit more for a very small group of Coyotes at Turquoise Trail, the aftercare program students for essential workers that are at school every day, which first and foremost, let me give shout out to Tammy Padilla and Corinne and everybody that works in the aftercare program. They are absolutely phenomenal. And they're juggling so much, which I missed the first part of this meeting because it was full. I couldn't get in. So I don't know if that was addressed, but the one comment that I keep hearing from them over and over again is I get notifications every now and then that my son missed a certain class, or he told me, oh, well, we missed reading today because I didn't realize I had to be on it. He's 5 years old. And the one consistent comment I'm getting is that they have, even though it's a small amount of children, they have so many kids with so many different schedules that it's impossible for them to keep up with 100% of it. And I get that. I totally get that. But for those teachers that are willing to come back into school, even if the school's not ready to go to the hybrid model, for those of us parents that I'm a single mom on my own, I have my son 24/7. My parents help me out as best they can, but they both work full time. Sometimes I have late shifts at work. I get home, my son's asleep. My parents are not technology savvy. They can't do all this online stuff and help with getting on iStation or Seesaw or Google Classroom. They just don't get it, and it causes stress in our household. Is there any way that from now until then, is there any teachers that are willing to go into the aftercare program within the limitations of COVID and all of that stuff, that are willing to help out and help facilitate and maybe help with this one-on-one repetition learning that like the younger kids need? My kid's in kindergarten. He's not getting what he needs right now, and I can see it. He had 5 days of in-person learning when kindergarten went back because of parent-teacher conferences. We had a snow day. It was supposed to be 2 weeks. It ended up only being 5 days. But is there any way that we can actually help the aftercare program for those parents that aren't able to help facilitate 2-3 hours of online learning when they get home at work and the kids need to be in bed by 8 o'clock?
It's a really good question, and I'll also just open this up for Tammy and or Danielle to respond as well. But we have an EA who has gone down to be in childcare, full day down there, and that is Miss Lynn, who is down there working in small groups and doing pullouts with kids who have IEPs and pulling them up into the cafeteria so they can work in small groups. And she's doing an incredible job with them. But to answer your question more directly, I think it's something that we always strive to improve the connection between childcare and our classes and the teachers themselves. And maybe one of those steps needs to be including another EA or a staff member down there to do that work. And so we're constantly looking for ways to make that better. And I appreciate the question and the consideration, and I know that we'll talk about it as well. And thank you for surfacing it. Tammy, Danielle, would you add some more color to that?
I just want to add that, yes, Ms. Christie, absolutely. It's something that we're looking at on a daily basis. You know, Tammy and her team are always iterating, but also working with the teachers. Just this past week, we asked for some teacher input. How can we help facilitate this? Like you said, watching 10 kids in a schedule. Teachers have started committing to have one line of communication with our childcare staff instead of 10 lines of communication and emailing 10 different people. That kind of helps. You know, we're trying to get a hold on where the kids are at. A second thing is also to having some more consistent schedules. We had some schedule changes and our childcare staff was not made aware of the schedule changes. Emails went out to parents. So there's a realization that some of these kids need that information also sent to childcare staff to start being able to pull in these kids more directly. And then also asking our teachers, you know who your kids are in childcare. If you don't see them on the camera within the first 5 minutes of class, please let somebody know, you know, whether it's Tammy immediately because she has a school cell phone, or Corrine, you know, on the landline. That way we can get them on, you know, 5 minutes, as we know for at least our smaller kids, it's about how long it takes them to sit down and all get on the cameras. So getting these things and just pulling our communication tighter, but we absolutely agree if we can get some more staff members who are willing to do that and come in, and even if it's 1 day a week, 2 days a week, it's something we are looking into.
Thanks, Christy. Let's see. Mark, did you have your hand up before?
Yeah, I was wondering, so, you know, with sport, you know, I know the 22nd is you know, a deadline for sports. And previously, you know, I have my middle child, she went to Turquoise Trail, and they didn't offer, you know, sports through the NMAA sanctioned sports. And so that created, she was able to go play at her home school for volleyball, which was would have been Nino Otero. And so did Turquoise Trail join the NMAA this year I was hoping not, but because not just for the reason, Danielle, because I don't know that if that's the case that they can go back and play at their home school. And if you guys aren't in, I was wondering if you guys might be able to still send some of your kids to, talk to the NMAA about, we're not going to be in time, but then they can maybe play at their home school still. And then we had another girl that played at Milagro, and so there was a few of our students that were able to play at their home school for the sports, and that's still debating if the public schools are going to have it right still, and so that's still yet to be told. But I'm not sure if that could be an option for some of our kids that want to play at that level.
And Tammy's our NMAA director, so I'll also defer to her. Tammy, if you want to say something, but I know today on the call with the secretary, that was something that came up. Can a school that's not participating in hybrid still have kids participate at other schools? And that's not something that they had an answer for us yet today. And Tammy, I know, had an NMAA call as well. Tammy, is that the same information that you have?
Yeah, that was one of the questions I asked. Like, if we did not do hybrid, if our students could participate at their public, school. And no, since we did join the NMAA this year, we're considered their home school now. So that is, this is the first year we're starting up. So we're happy to announce that our middle school is joining. And so we're trying to just hold our own program now. But I've been with Estrella Flores from the public schools, right? So yeah, so I've been in contact with her, trying to just make sure that our students are not trying to cross those, trying to play both schools.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Mark, just so you know, we are really trying to make sure that we are giving our middle schoolers, what a year. This is the first year we're in NMAA, and just giving them that opportunity. We had volleyball, we had it for as many in-person practices as we could, and then we went virtual. We are planning virtual practices and offering sports with the specific conditioning for wrestling. I think Tammy has girls and boys basketball, soccer lined up. We're moving forward with as much virtually as we can. We know it's not the same, but we're pushing to do some kind of experience for our kids at least.
We did just get our new coaches shirts in today, though. They're polos. They're really sharp.
We got a question who you're hiring for your coaches, though. Man, better reconsider that.
Oh, I see Fran staring you down, Mark.
Yeah, don't get on Fran's bad side, Mark. We've all been there. It's not pretty.
Oh, he knows me. Oh, he knows me. I was asking him earlier if he missed me already.
You said yes. Right, Mark?
No, you can keep her. We're good.
I'm going to the SPED staff at Santa Fe High. You said that. Just watch. I'm going to let everybody know right now.
That was great. Well, everybody, I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. I'm happy to stay on as long as people have questions, but if you do need to duck out, it is 7 o'clock. I want to acknowledge we've been on together now for 2 hours. You're probably tired of us. You probably want to eat dinner, and that's totally fine. But I'll be here as long as you need to, if you have any other questions. But thank you, everybody, for everything you're doing and for showing up tonight. It means a lot. And thanks for lending your voice. And we will be in touch as soon as we have something concrete for you. And hopefully it won't be through a podcast, but it will be through a letter or something a little bit more direct, so you don't have to go through the preamble and all that. So anyway, thanks everybody. Please stay safe. Please stay safe, and thanks for your support.
And Chris, for those who I know you talk about sports. For those who want, if you want volunteering for the sports, I am here to volunteer.
Okay.
For those who don't know me, my name is Julius. I am Naomi. I was 11 times All-American in cross country, and I won national championship and all those kind of things. So if you down the road you need volunteering on on specifically track and field and cross country,
Yes.
I'm here to volunteer once in a while.
Yes, Julius, I'm saying yes right now. On the record, recorded. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. We have.
Oh yeah. So
if we have a champion here, we have to pass that on to our kids. We need to learn the lessons that you've learned. So please, please, please get in touch with Tammy. Tammy, can you put your email address in the chat box too, so you guys can be in touch? I'd love to, love to. Thank you so much for volunteering. I think it'd be amazing.
that will be awesome. Yes.
That's great. Thanks, Jessica. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, everybody who came tonight. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you to all of our staff that they have long days, that this is really important, and thank you for being here.
Congratulations, Melissa, on your major award tonight.
I am so excited. I was like yelling, I got an award.
Yay, Melissa, that's because you're the
It's
best.
better to get the creativity award. You're like, you know, the geyser of great ideas all the time. So it's
Yeah,
awesome.
but sometimes my team knows and everybody else knows. Reel it in, reel it in, reel it in.
Never, never.
You did some awesome drawing tonight. You need to see that too.
Oh, I'm still working on it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, parents.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
One more thing. Could I say one more thing?
Please.
I forgot to mention another thing that we're doing at Indian School is if Indian School does not have a season, or they do not end up having their going through with school, in regards to sports, they're able, the NMAA has allowed Santa Fe Indian School, because of their private school and their situation is different, just like Turquoise Trail, you can request that the kids be able to play with the school in their nearest district. And that's something that you might want to look into. I don't know. I just think with the kids with playing with sports and stuff scholastically, that's something you might want to look into if you guys decide to go through with school and continue distance learning. Sports wise, if everyone else is doing hybrid or whatever and sports goes on, you can request that they can play with their local district and still be involved with sports.
Thanks, Oliver. I appreciate that. And Tammy's on it too. So, right, Tammy? I mean, if we have kids who are coming up in any way, they need to be doing 100 push-ups. They need to be ready for anything right now.
Yeah, Tammy and me are pretty close. She's got it down. I shouldn't. I already know you guys got it locked down.
That's great. It's great to know what everybody's doing. It's really, really important. We're all together right now.
Yes, and tell Jules that just to call me anytime she needs meals. She has my number. Just pull up to school, give me a call, and I'll get you guys meals.
You know we'll get him.
I'll look for that phone call.
Yeah, first farm to table school in Santa Fe. I eat the lunch every day. It's really good.
Oh yeah. All right, we'll see you. Protect the pack.
Protect the pack.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night. Thanks again. Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
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 Hey, Mario.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
How are you? Where are you going? Are you driving? You better not be driving right now. Are you going swimming? All right, you better get that 50 free under 30 seconds. All right, good night, everybody. Good night.
Hey, Miss Carol, I'm so glad to see you. You turned on your camera. We miss you.
It's good to see you.
Say hi to the boys.
I am going to call it a night. I have been pestered for dinner. Thank you, everybody.
Got work to do. What are you doing? Come on, come back up to school. Hang out with Tammy and Harry and I. Harry put on his nice jacket already. Look at him.
There's going to be a revolt.
I'm gonna sleep right here and just wake up tomorrow.
But just
smart. Smart.
I knew you guys had.
I'm gonna holler at you when I can't to talk about that, okay?
I'm just gonna get one of those pre-K cots.
Yep, I knew you guys had bags over there. I saw them in the back. I saw them. I knew it. They all had your name stitched up in them. I saw them. I saw it, Tammy.
I'm gonna use your coaching polo as a pillow.
No, use it.
Watch out, there's a wild animal behind you.
If use it as a PJ shirt, should be comfortable.
Okay,
Bye, Danielle.
I've got stuffed animals in my room, Tammy. They're yours.
Okay.
And lots of mats. You could quilt. You could quilt.
Little beds in the nurse's office aren't bad.
Yeah, I'll use one of those.
Okay.
There too.
All right, bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, Melissa. Good night. Good night, everybody.
We're down to the cocktail hour, right, Tommy?
Yes, that's
Who's making them?
Christy's lives right behind the school. Christy's house, everybody.
My house, anytime. It's like 2 minutes away. Not even 2 minutes, right?
I'll see you at 7:15. I'll be
All right. We're right here.
Yeah, Chris, can I speak with you after this meeting a little bit? 1 second.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
I'll let you guys talk. Bye.
Chris, I'm going to make you host. My phone is just about to die.
Oh man, now you have your trophy case right there, Julius. That's amazing.
Oh yeah. I got this when I was in college, and as I said, I was 11 times All-American, and I got my citizenship through all this. I got what we call special talent or extraordinary abilities.
Yeah.
And it's because of what I did in college, and I won national championship, all those kind of things.
What were your events? What did you run?
I ran anything from 1500 to a marathon, actually.
Did you?
So
I'm assuming you're under 2 hours in the marathon.
no. No. I was, I mean, 215 to 20 range, but I didn't do that much after college, and then started family, all those kind of things. So it's kind of grounded me down. So, and then I went to school in Arkansas for my undergrad and my master's. So, and then I moved here like almost 10 years ago.
What brought you to New Mexico after Arkansas?
My wife wanted to come to the West. So, and my wife is a national champion too. She went to a school in Colorado. So she's a superstar too, so.
My God, your kids, that's a lot of pressure.
Some of the hobbies for her as well.
That's a lot of pressure for your kids. Are they fast too?
Yeah, I think so. They will be eventually,
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. I can, when I'm free, I work for the state, so I'm a software developer for the state. So sometimes I'm too busy. So, but, I was thinking, maybe I can volunteer when I'm free down when the COVID is, kind of down. So I can volunteer, give my small kind of ideas to these young kids and who want to pursue, because I went to school and my wife went through athletic scholarship through my entire 4 years. So, and I think a lot of kids doesn't know much about it. They just participate in sport. If they get in their brain that you can get more on athletics to be on high school, they can, they can relieve their parents not to pay for their college, right?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so and to convey that message, and tell them, because I see a lot of athletes here or students here in New Mexico, they participate more on soccer,
Right.
They don't too much, and I've seen even the college in UNM, they recruit a lot of people from outside. Here we have advantage. We are in high altitude, which is super good for producing national championships. Those kind of people. So if we kind of motivate our kids to pursue athletics after college or after high school, that will help them.
I 100% agree with you. We have, before we had to go out, we had cross country. So I don't. Obviously, I mean, you run all the distances, so I don't know how similar cross country is to say 1500 or marathon. I assume there's some similarity at least, but Andy Mason and Kristen Bruner, two of our middle school teachers, were taking charge of that, but I know that they would they would love to work with you in any way possible on any advice you have, any coaching tips for the kids, things that you've learned, any lessons, you know, all of those things. That'd be immensely valuable.
I think it will help them. And I coach too after college. I know all those regulations. On my masters, they rehire me to coach as well as getting my masters. So I kind of have a lot of those skills of as far as taking care of athletes, you know, to benefit. My goal is to have them benefit themselves by getting scholarship, you know. A lot of schools give out scholarship, a lot of them, but few kids, you know, from high altitude like here, they could take every single college they want to if they you know, take advantage of it.
I love that. So did you did you grow up running like from when you were very, very young, or did you start later on? How did it happen for you?
No, I'm from Kenya, and you can hear from my accent, you know, I'm from Kenya, and you know, all Kenyans, you know, a lot of Kenya, they have this talent in running, you know. I grew up in high altitude like here, almost 6,000 or 7,000. And, you know, my school was almost 2 miles away, you know, and I have to go every morning, you know, buy food. We didn't have a car in my family. Up to now, we don't have a car. So we have no option other than run in the morning, you know, you have to be in school at 7 o'clock in the morning, and we don't have buses. So 2 miles away is a long way, you know. So you have to run, you know, and then we have to come for lunch, you know. Lunch, we don't have lunch at school. So we have to come all the way home again for lunch. So we have 1 hour window to make up that 2 mile go home and 2 mile back in that 1 hour, plus you have to eat lunch, you know, all those kind of things. And then in the evening, you have to do the same thing, you know. So, no, let's go fast. So, and then, you know, and then I developed that. And then when I graduated from high school, and my parents didn't have something to, you know, they didn't have money to take me to college. And I said, you know what? I think I can go to United States to get college, you know. And then I applied, and then they gave me, and, you know, sure enough, you know, they didn't regret having me in, you know. So that's what. And then my wife, the same thing. She's from Kenya, the same thing. So she got scholarship, and we went through our colleges without paying even a single dime, you know, that kind of thing. So
amazing.
So yeah, so one of the things that, you know, I wanted you to stay a little bit is I have a daughter called Nicole. She's in pre-K, you know, and 1 second, let me close this door here.
Sure.
She's and I know this United States, sometimes they have these rules that, you know, is different than where we grew up. She just turned, she's 5 years old right now. And our birthday is September 20 something, you know. Okay. So right now she's in pre-K, so which is older kid in pre-K. And not only that, she's older kid in pre-K, she knows she's almost the same level as my second grade. I have a second grade called Naomi. As far as reading is concerned, as far as maths, all those kind of things. And she gets bored in class sometimes. Most of the time, she, you know, like I say, what did you learn? It's so easy, something like that. So she's way, those things that my daughter Naomi was struggling in kindergarten, on first grade, like the side words, those side words, she mastered all side words from all of them, and nothing. Writing them, she can write it. So, and I was telling a teacher that, do you guys have something extra for somebody like that? You know, because she's almost turning 6 and she's still in pre-K, you know. And then of course, as far as math skill is concerned, she has mastered everything even beyond kindergarten, and beyond kindergarten, but she's still in pre-K. Is there anything you guys can do to help her as far as, you know, so that she doesn't get bored and that kind of thing, you know?
Absolutely. I think there are a number of things that we can do. And, you know, one of the things at Turquoise Trail that we love to do is make sure that kids are at their right academic level, grade-wise. So, you know, we're going to have testing throughout the rest of this year, and we're going to make a lot of determinations about where our kids will be next year. If you feel as though in the test results and everything kind of bear it out, and we obviously talk to the pre-K teachers and so forth, if you feel as though she should advance to first grade next year, for example, then that would be a conversation that we could have. Alternatively, I know that we have a number of different sort of programs that we work with kids so they can do self-guided work online, for example. Like IXL, there are some programs I know that the kindergarten and first grade teachers use. So I would connect you, I guess, with Mrs. Berg, the elementary school principal, who can make sure you're talking to the right, maybe it's a kindergarten teacher to talk to next about what the most appropriate things were, or a first grade teacher, depending on where it is. But
yeah, let's go. Go ahead.
Yes, but that to me would be the next logical step. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, good. Because yeah, usually I feel like you know, kind of wasted, you know, as far as and I'm using my my first kid to be kind of a gauge. You know, when my Naomi was struggling so much when she was in she was in first grade to memorize those side words. Nicole in pre-K, she can read, not even memorize. You know, you can jumble. She can construct a full sentence by herself. You know, so things that I was thinking, like, you know, I can talk to you, you know, or you guys in your administration to, you know, kind of create something for her to, you know, so that she cannot lag behind, not because she doesn't know, it's because she doesn't have enough things to propel her that way. You know, I am positive that if you put her in kindergarten or first grade, she can handle without a problem. You know, I had to sign. I signed up. There is a flash learn maths class. I signed up, and she could master subtraction, addition, you know, all those kind of things. She can count from 0 to 200 without just helping her. Those kind of things.
I'm gonna put this is in the chat box. That's our principal's elementary school principal's email address. Do reach out to her and put me on there as well.
Okay.
And here's my email address, so that we're both on there, and we can just track this and make sure that she's getting the supports that she needs. So that might mean connecting with the kindergarten teachers, might mean connecting with the first grade teachers, but you clearly have a really talented family.
Yeah. This is Nicole, the one I'm talking about.
Hi, Nicole. I'm Mr. Idy. It's nice to meet you.
No, she cannot.
Oh, hi, Nicole.
Hi.
I'm Mr. Idy. It's nice to meet you. How are you?
Good.
Good. What are you doing tonight?
What am I doing tonight?
Yeah, are you reading some books? Are you watching a program? Do you eat some dinner? What's happening?
We were playing hide and seek with my little sister and Naomi, and I was and I made a bracelet for my mommy.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. What color is the bracelet?
Green and red.
Green and red. Green and red.
This one?
This one is the bracelet.
Oh, wow. That's really pretty. You made that all by yourself?
Yeah.
That's really good.
Okay. Let me talk to her. Okay.
It's nice to meet
say
you.
bye. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Say good night.
Good night.
Okay. Sorry about.
Thank you for that. That's really
no problem. So yeah, I will reach back to you guys and you know, see what we can, you know, do to help her.
Okay, that's great. Well, it's really nice to meet you. I'm so glad that we're part of the same school community. I'm so glad that you guys are here.
Thank you so much. You know, I like TTC so much. You know, it's a good school, and you know, my kids love it. You know.
So glad. I hope to get to meet you in person sometime.
No, yeah, me too.
Okay, well, stay safe and stay in touch. We'll talk soon, huh?
Okay, thank you so much, Chris.
All right. Good night.
Bye bye.